Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and on today's episode, I'm talking to returning guest Ashley Thomas about John Carpenter's Someone's Watching Me. Ashley is a writer at fangirlish.com and host of podcast 616, We Are Starfleet, Mission Log Genealogy, and the Video Store podcast. Welcome back to the show, Ashley.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Robert, and thank you for reading out all of my litany of to-dos.
You
Of
are
all.
everywhere, always.
We were just talking about it. I have extrovert problems, but burning that freelance, doing that freelance
Yeah,
life. That's the
right.
choice of words I'm looking for. Doing that freelance life, so you put all your eggs in a lot of different baskets.
Yep. I hear
hmm
that.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I only have the one podcast, and I feel like I'm like doing a lot. So,
hmm Yeah, I,
so
I, I apparently like guess I just don't enjoy free time.
right. Well,
Which I
this
do.
is
I
what you
really
like to
want
do
some
with your
free
free time.
time. Hey, and I'm really excited to talk with you today, and I'm more than happy to spend
Yeah,
free time with you anytime. We don't even have to record a
yeah,
podcast. Like we can just hang. It's fun. It's fun to
right.
hang out with you. Fun to talk with you.
Yeah, definitely.
hmm
All right. Well, yeah, let's get into this. This is the third part of my first month of John Carpenter episodes,
hmm
and this time we are talking about Someone's Watching Me, which was a television movie, which was a little odd, but you know that. Uh, but it's a very interesting movie. It kind of like it. I looking at the trivia behind this and everything. This came out in 1978. So I believe it's the same year. I'm always getting this mixed up, but I believe it's the same year as Halloween.
It is.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but this one was actually filmed before Halloween.
Correct.
Um, and so um, he John Carpenter has said that a lot of filming this movie helped him when filming Halloween.
Mm.
So he learned a lot of tricks and filmmaking stuff and everything like that that went into making Halloween. And I can kind of see that because this involves a woman who moves to LA. She moves into this kind of newish high rise building, and she starts getting like weird letters and a lot of like odd phone calls. Some dude is like messing with her, and she's just got to deal with that while being like a new woman in a new city, like a woman in a new city, and like with a new job and all that stress that goes into all that, and then add in the fact that now you're getting like messed with by somebody. um it was interesting. It's funny because it didn't really feel like a television movie in a lot of
hmm
ways. It definitely doesn't feel 100% like John Carpenter's work. But again, it's early. Um, so I think that's, it plays into part of that. Um, let's see. I was just looking this up. Let's see. He didn't do the music for this either. So that kind of plays kind of pulls you out a little bit in terms of it being a John Carpenter film.
Right.
But
Right.
it's an interesting movie though. What did you think of this? Was my first time watching it, so I
Yeah.
had never seen it before. But what did you think of it?
So this was, when I watched it this morning, I was able to squeeze two watches in of it today,
Mhm.
and that was my second time seeing it. I watched it for the first time maybe, ooh, I think it might have been 2018, maybe
Okay.
2017. Uh, that I had maybe about in 2016, I was when I started really getting into horror, really getting into
Right.
the horror genre. And John Carpenter just shot straight to the top as my favorite
Yeah.
director. So, and just my favorite director, period. Not even just like favorite horror director. He's my favorite director.
Right.
So I was really excited to get to talk about John Carpenter with you today.
Yeah.
So I I am fortunate to live in an area that has a local video store. Shout out to Viz Art Video in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they love horror and cult film over there, but they have set themselves up as a nonprofit for film education and preservation, which is
Hmm,
fantastic. So, but they
that's
happen to
awesome.
have a copy of something's or someone's watching me on DVD, which I only just learned today that it had never been put on physical media before Shot Factory put it on DVD in 2018.
Yeah.
So that was pretty new at the time. So anyway, I had borrowed it from there because I was wanting to go through and watch all of Carpenter's work, and that one wasn't streaming anywhere that I had access to at the time. So I was like, you know what, I'll go hit the video store, see what they got, and lo, there it was. But I was really it hit me fresh because it'd been a while since I had watched it versus then and now. But you see so much of his signature style that he would employ in
Yeah.
Halloween with the camera angles. Uh, there were a lot of names that were repeated in
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that on my first watch because
Yeah.
I either hadn't seen some of those films. I also didn't realize that we've got Charles Cyphers who would play
Yeah.
Sheriff Brackett in Halloween. You've got Adrienne Barbeau. This is where I knew this was where John Carpenter and Adrienne Barbeau met, and then he
Yeah.
would later cast her in The Fog. This is also when they got together, I think,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
or they got together
Yeah.
shortly
They
after
they
this.
they got married right after they filmed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this this for me was really fun to revisit because I got to catch a lot of hallmarks of his
Yeah.
style and how he directs. Also, just really kind of blown away that this was a TV film. There's some
Yeah.
stuff in here that I wouldn't have thought would have made broadcast TV in the
Yeah.
70s, but
Yeah.
lo, here we are.
No, I agree. I think that was one of the things that was like very surprising to me about certain
Hmm.
things that really kind of were like, this really 1978. Some of this stuff was okay that they
Hmm.
were doing in this. This is like
Yeah.
crazy. So, um, but yeah, no, I agree. I think that you see the beginnings of a lot of his like style in this movie. Um, it's still a little rough around the edges, but you're starting to really get little bits and pieces of it. And yeah, the names I picked up on the like the Tramer reference and
Hmm. Oh, I missed the Kramer
the,
reference. Good catch there. I
yeah,
caught that the gal who that she hears about in the news was named Elizabeth
yeah,
Solly, who was Jamie Lee Curtis's character in The Fog.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun catching some of that stuff. And he likes, I mean, Lee, her, the main character's name was Lee.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he reused that name in Halloween for the sheriff, is
Hmm.
Sheriff Lee Brackett.
Right.
And that's based on screenwriter Lee Brackett.
Right. I
So
did catch that. Yeah.
yeah. So um but yeah, this movie is it's very interesting. It's excuse me. There's it's I mean, obviously there'd been this kind of going on for probably a long time, in terms of like phone calls and this kind of
Hmm.
weird stalking and everything like that. Um,
Hmm.
but it's interesting to see it in a movie like this, and again, and a movie that that he got to do it. And I guess they filmed it like originally it wasn't meant to be filmed for TV.
Mm.
Um, he'd written it as a for um it was supposed to be just a feature film.
Mm.
Um, and then um but yeah, so it was interesting too. So he it was his first experience with television, and it was his first union experience. He got into the Directors Guild because of this.
Oh wow.
So yeah. um but yeah, it's really interesting. I think the it's very suspenseful. It never really, like, for something that's pretty slow burn,
Hmm.
and there's not a lot of real action going on. It keeps you pretty like interested the whole time. Like I don't think I was ever bored with it. Like there was always just enough going on with it to keep it going, which I thought.
Yeah, yeah. I remember being thinking it was a little slow the first time I watched it, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that this time. And maybe it was because I had some familiarity with the film already, so I kind of
Yeah.
knew how it was going to go. But, again, at the same time, I'd only seen it one time. But details were fuzzy, so it had been a while, so it was still enough to for me to be all like, "Whoa, dang,
Right.
that's scary. I forgot how this play went down. Oh no."
Yeah.
And sadly, this film is still all too relevant. So,
Yes, unfortunately. Yeah.
yeah.
This was my first time watching it. I've owned it for a few years now. It's just been
Hmm.
sitting on my shelf. I've been meaning to watch
Hmm.
it, and I just never did. So it was great being able to finally sit down and watch it for the podcast to be able to actually, you know, talk
Hmm.
about it and everything. Um, so yeah, it was the like yeah, that 2018. That's what I have is the 2018 Blu-ray of it. That yeah, I was surprised when I was looking up the information on there. Like you said, this had never gotten released on VHS or DVD. Um, or no, it did get released on DVD in 2007. It said.
Okay.
Um, um, let's see. Hold on, I may be wrong. I saw that somewhere. I know they said something about it being released in 2007. Um, but the
It does
Scream
look like,
Factory
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go
Blu-ray
ahead.
came out in 2018.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, go ahead with what you were going to say.
Oh, yeah. No, and this is interesting. The kind of the premise, some of the premise for this film. Um, so John Carpenter did a short film when he was a student at
Hmm.
UCLA, I believe, called it's 7 minutes. He released it in 1969. It's called Captain Voyeur.
Hmm.
And it's about just the quick synopsis on IMDb is a bored computer worker becomes fixated on a coworker and follows her home. And so basically, this dude figures out that he can spy on her, or he was at USC, not UCLA, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, he figures out that he can spy on her, and whenever he spies on her, he puts on a mask, and he is the captain, is the name of his character. So Captain Voyeur. But it's a similar kind of premise of a
Yeah.
creepy dude um, trying to watch and peep on young lady. So anyway, it's definitely, you can go look at the listing on IMDb. There's a lot of images actually from the film. So this still exists somewhere, but it
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
been considered particularly scandalous for its day because there
Yeah.
is, some uh, what's the right word? Licentious kind of stuff in it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is an idea that John Carpenter's had in his brain for, the better part of 10
Yeah.
years
And
at
it
this
feels like
point.
he kind of extrapolated with
Yeah.
that short into both someone's watching me and into Halloween
Hmm.
in a way.
Yeah, yeah, a
So
little bit. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, good connection. Hadn't thought about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. Hmm.
But yeah, so this was released in 2007 on DVD through Warner Brothers,
Ah.
prior to the 2018 Blu-ray by Shout Factory,
Hmm.
Scream Factory. But yeah, until 2007, it was known as the Lost Carpenter film,
Hmm.
because it was not on anything. So
Yeah.
um,
It
yeah,
looks like at least in Germany it may have gotten a VHS release based on
yeah,
ye olde Wikipedia. Um,
yeah.
so
So yeah, I'm sure people were bootlegging it for a while,
hmm.
through VHS, through that version, but there was never an American one, and it only got on the DVD in 2007. So like almost
Hmm.
30 years. So before
Yeah.
it finally appeared on something anybody here in America could do. Um, but yeah, this is an interesting one. I'll admit I've never been a big Lauren Hutton fan. I think
Hmm.
she's okay. I think she's really good in this though.
Hmm.
She does a really good job. I mean, it's the 70s, and you know, um it's I honestly, I think Adrienne Barbeau, who plays a great character in this, I think she probably would have been made an even better
Yeah.
lead character. Um, but I don't think Lauren Hutton's doing a bad job at all.
No,
Um,
I think she's really great in this. I don't know that I've ever
yeah,
seen her in anything else. I'm just taking a quick peep through
yeah.
her. Quick peep. LOL. Sorry. Joke in poor taste. Just a quick look through her resume, and I'm
She's
not
in the movie
certain.
Once Bitten,
Okay.
which
I have heard of it, but I haven't
yeah,
seen it. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's been a while since I've seen that one. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that one's with Jim Carrey in it. So
Gotcha.
it
Okay.
was like one of his first roles.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah, interesting stuff. But yeah, one of the more interesting tidbits is something we kind of alluded to with Adrienne Barbeau, is that in this movie she plays a lesbian.
Right.
And for
Again,
1978 television movie, that's bold.
yeah.
Like,
I
I
was
mean, not
really
that
surprised
people,
about that.
yeah, and not that people weren't portraying gay men or lesbians on TV and movies and stuff like
Hmm.
that. It just wasn't as like accepted or prevalent as it is today. Um, and it's nicely handled in this as well.
Hmm.
She just kind of says, "Hey, I'm like, guys aren't my type or whatever," and then
Yeah.
she remarks later on that she's surprised that Lee is so accepting of her
Yeah.
as her friend and everything. She's like, "Look, I already deal with dudes all the time, so
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I'm not worried about you." So
Yeah, it was definitely very progressive for its
yeah,
time, for sure. And the fact that she wasn't like or made a big
yeah,
deal about it was pretty bold choice. Again, all things I was surprised made it to broadcast TV in 1978.
yeah, yeah. I like how this movie really handled a lot of the men in this as well, like
Mm-hmm.
because like Lee gets there to LA and she's hit on and hit on and hit on by like a multitude of guys. And she's just
Mm-hmm.
like, no, no, I'm not dealing. I don't want to, I don't want to deal with you. I'm not interested in you, blah, blah, blah. But like, she makes the first move on the guy that she ends up with, Paul, in
Mm.
the movie. But she's very forward about like her boundaries and everything, which I thought was really great. It's a
Right.
very, very progressive movie.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, you're coming off of like in the 70s, you're coming off the kind of sexual revolution and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
even at this time, like women still were like, sure, they were stronger and more, obviously she's getting a job as like a director at this television station, stuff like that. Obviously they're treating her well and everything, but like there's just some of the dudes in here are very douchey. um
Yeah.
but but it's nice to see that she comes off very strong, very like, and not in a like, and definitely never comes off as like man hater type person, because obviously like I said, she makes the move on Paul at the
Right.
same bar that she was turning down a guy just moments before.
Mm-hmm.
And she just knows what she wants and she's willing to get it when she wants it. And so I thought that was really good, and progressive, especially for the character in that time. So
Absolutely. Agree. Agree.
um but yeah, I there's I like what they did too with a lot of the I guess the kind of the red herrings too, is like that this was like, because once the calls start and the letters and packages and everything starts and everything like that, you don't know who it is. And they never really like, they don't do the thing that I think later movies tend to do where they're really pointing out these people. They
Mm.
kind of just make it, they kind of just go, well, there's this guy, he's kind of creepy. There's this guy, it's kind of creepy, and
Mm-hmm.
never like really like full creepy
Mm-hmm.
either. So you're kind of going, maybe it is him, maybe it's not him, and
Yeah.
so they like leave it very much open to audience interpretation, which I thought was really
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I thought was really interesting about this is yes, you have all these red herrings, but then you also have Paul, who's like,
Yeah.
the nice guy, and he's here to help, and they're like, but is he? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
basically,
Exactly.
if you're a guy on this film, like you are, you're a suspect.
Right.
You're a suspect. But yeah, there are a lot of great uh, red herrings and things that make you second guess.
Yeah. Um, no, I agree. I think they, like I said, I think they handled it really well, and they do a really good job at like, um, really messing around with the characters in ways to just like, and it's real subtle. It's like nothing really super like big, like you said. Like even with Paul, you're kind of like, but wait, is it maybe him this whole time? Like maybe he's been playing this weird little game, and you're like,
Right.
but no, it's probably not. And it's like it's so funny too because we're looking at it from the perspective of being in 2026. This is
Right.
nearly what 50 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at it from our lens of having seen a bunch of horror movies and seeing all the like and knowing the tropes and stuff like that. But also, so like that's what I think is interesting about it because it's nothing very red lighty to tell you, oh, this is who it is, this is who it could be, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do find out who it is, it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's even more interesting. So in a way, so
Yeah.
um, go ahead.
There's one other thing that I thought was really interesting in this film, and uh, funny enough, this is only something I kind of read about accidentally this morning, scrolling through social media. Um, there is a gal who basically kind of turned the way uh, the FBI and other law enforcement organizations look at uh, women who, trigger warning, who have been raped or stalked or otherwise harmed by men in like violent ways. Her name is Anne C. Walbert Burgess. She is a psychiatric clinical nurse specialist. And so before, I think the, when was this? This I think was sometime in the 80s. She went to the FBI and was kind of like, "Hey, you guys are tracking serial killers the wrong way. Like, if you want to find out who solved or who is doing this, you don't look at the serial killer when you get them in. You like because they're just going to feed you whatever they want to feed you.
Yeah,
Look at the victims. Look at the people who have been hurt and they
find the
were
patterns from
at
that. Yeah,
and the base your pattern on that, not trying to profile by talking to the killer. And
right.
it busted all of that wide open, completely changed the
Hmm.
way we do re like try to solve these kinds of cases in the US. But this lady was never credited because why would you do that?
Of course.
But she's 89 years old, is still a professor at Cornell.
Oh wow.
Or no, excuse me, at Boston College, my bad. But like School of Nursing and things like that.
So I was
William S.
just
Connell
I
School
was
of Nursing, Boston College. Yeah.
yeah. So I was just because what you were talking about
Yeah.
reminded me of Mindhunter, which I haven't
Well,
watched, but
that's
I know
that's see, that's
the
who it's
woman.
based on, is
Yeah,
her.
the woman in that is based on her.
And
Yeah.
the character Anna
So
Torv's character in Mindhunter is nothing at all like the quiet suburban housewife who
yeah,
busted all this wide open.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, they completely changed her character and stuff. But yeah, she just is out here quietly, kicking ass and taking names and uh
Again, women
helping
always not
victims.
getting the credit they deserve. This
Yeah.
bullshit. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But all of that to say, me reading about this morning and then going to watch someone is watching me,
yeah,
and realizing they are doing all the things this woman did, where they're
mm,
looking at who are the victims. Okay, well, who could have
yeah,
had access to these victims? What did they all have in common? And they're all
yeah,
single
yeah.
women in their 20s living by themselves.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
Finding the pattern. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which you would think would be the obvious freaking thing to, like, you know,
No.
like focus on. Don't focus on the guy. Focus on the
Mm-hmm.
victims, and then build out that methodology from there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why, again, this is why we've had so many times of
Mm-hmm.
the wrong person getting accused of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And excuse
and
me,
it still happens.
she started doing that in the 60s, not the 80s. That's my fault. But
Gotcha. Yeah.
still, even so, I was like, "Oh, wait, that was pretty dang new stuff
Yeah.
coming at you in this TV movie, and it's true to life. This is how we
Yeah.
track serial killers. Is we
Yeah.
look at, okay, there's a pattern in the victims. Okay, who has, the access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I thought it was interesting too because the way this guy goes about it is like obviously he's spying on her from across the way, from the
Mm-hmm.
building across the way, and then you see early on that he's got a microphone hidden in
Mm-hmm.
her apartment and stuff like that, so he can listen to her at any time, and he's got her phone number, so he's making these harassing calls like all night long and everything whenever she's alone. And he's not doing anything other than just being creepy, saying kind of mundane things, but it's just all the time. And he's pretending to be like this travel agency, and he's sending her like he sends her a telescope and sends her a bikini, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really bizarre, just really like funky, weird stuff to like mess with her. Um, and it just when you find out who it is, it like I like how one, it wasn't anybody that we'd seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
And two, so it was like one of those things where, okay, I got my suspect, and it was literally nobody that you had
Mm.
that
Yeah.
you could even think of. And then two, it was somebody with access um that makes sense. Like everything just like, plot wise, there was nothing in this in my mind that felt like there was no hole left.
Mm.
um Somebody can tell me different if they feel like there was a weird plot hole or anything like that, but I felt
Mm-hmm.
like it worked out really well. Like even when he ends up killing her friend, and then he manages to get somebody else to take the ticket, her plane ticket for her, and everything. It's
Mm-hmm.
very, very odd though that he would be able to find somebody. I'm sure it'd be easy, just give somebody a ticket and go, hey, want to go to Fort Worth, Texas for a little bit.
Yeah.
um so maybe it was a different person he was stalking, and he gave them the free ticket that was their free prize and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, so he
Yeah.
just lucked into that. There was a moment that after that I thought maybe Adrienne Barbeau's character was in on it,
Mm.
because I was just like, oh, that'd be kind of a neat twist if like she was in on it too.
Ooh,
um
yeah.
so there were a couple of moments where there was some interesting twists that I didn't think they were going to go for, just because that seems to be a more later type of storytelling where you get kind of
Mm-hmm.
the twist within a twist. Not that they weren't doing that back then either, but just I don't know, it always feels like storytelling kind of changed a little bit. um and we got more twisty narratives. um but yeah, I don't know, it's I thought that what they did with the reveal was really cool. um
Mm-hmm.
and um and just in general on keeping you guessing throughout and just keeping that tension going, because there's the moment where um she decides she's gonna like go down, because like there's a note or something like that that says the guy's like waiting for her in um garage, and so she grabs like a letter opener or whatever, and then like goes down to the garage and goes in the laundry room area and stuff like that. And has this like kind of intense moment. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I'm like, girl, why are you doing that?
Right? Like,
It's like
what are you thinking?
that is clearly not safe. I admire that she's like, nah, I'm gonna tear this guy a new one with my kitchen knife. Um,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, good for you, good for you. I admire your
Right.
gumption, but that is still not smart. You at minimum let somebody know what you're doing, or call like the police and say, I have a threatening letter. The guy says he's in the garage of my building, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. I'm going down, and they're gonna be like, no, don't do that. I was like, you might have actually caught the you
Yeah.
know guy if she had done that, but instead, here we're gonna go hide in the grate in the laundry room, and
Well, and I thought it was funny. That's the one moment that kind of takes me out too, because like you can so obviously see her under that. It was like if he was actually coming in there, he should have
hmm
been able to see her under there, and maybe he did. He was just toying with her even more by standing on it, flicking the
Well, I
cigarette
think
down.
even the guy who drops the cigarette down there, it's the guy who they think it is,
Yeah,
who lives across the street, because remember said that he had a key to the building because he liked the laundry room better, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
he just happens to be down there doing his laundry, and
yeah.
it's
Well, I
not
think that's yeah.
the guy.
Yeah, and I think that's what's fun about it too is like you get into the latter part of the movie and then you get a couple of people who she thinks is who it is. First it's this, older guy who's retired who,
hmm
just has a bunch of plants and he just happens to have a telescope on his thing. It was like, really you would think the guy who's been messing with you this whole time he wouldn't be so obvious that like just have his telescope out there for you to see him doing
hmm
that.
hmm
But then they ended up like, busting him and sending him to Des Moines and everything. I was just like, man, I feel bad for this guy because like he didn't even actually do anything, but they're just like they sent him out of town. Um, and then later on, they see another guy who lives up on the penthouse floor. They see this guy with the telescope, and she goes and breaks in, um, and actually finds all the equipment. And she's like, "Oh my god, this is the guy. This is where he's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
at this whole time." Um, and I love like the twist on that as well because like meanwhile she's in communication with her friend and then
hmm
the friend gets attacked and she races over to go find her. The friend's gone, the guy's gone,
hmm
and then when she calls the cops to go back, all the stuff's gone in that other house.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so and they're like, this dude's been gone for months, like we don't believe you, lady. We already have the other
hmm
guy that we caught doing this. Like, what are you
Right,
doing?
right.
So again, another guy getting like, luckily he just got ran out of town and didn't get, anything more. Because again, like that was the thing the cops said earlier when she like talked to them was like they can't do anything. The guy hasn't done anything to
hmm
actually hurt you yet. So, which I think is the stupidest fucking thing in the world. Like, and I'm glad
Don't
that
get me
some
started.
of that's, I know, I'm glad that some of that has changed. It hasn't changed enough, but I'm glad some of that has changed in degree
hmm
that at least they somewhat go question these guys now.
hmm
It's not as good as it should be for sure, because
Yeah.
there's still way too many women being abused and attacked and
hmm
everything else. It's a stupid ass system.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
not really
I know
designed for
people who have
protection.
experienced those situations, and
Yeah,
thankfully they are okay now,
yeah,
and out of that abusive situation. But I mean, I have a dear friend who went to the police. Police told her, well, because he hasn't physically harmed you, there's nothing that we can do. But they did at least say, if you feel unsafe, you need to get out, and you need to do it like
yeah.
as quickly
Not
as you possibly
realizing
can.
that financial abuse is like a major thing that people do.
That was also a factor as well. Like,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
was
because
either
she,
that,
yeah,
or, you know, might have been, there is very little doubt that she could have been very seriously harmed.
yeah,
So
it's ridiculous.
it is absurd, but I mean, sadly, this movie is still relevant. So if
Yeah,
somebody tells you they are being harmed or abused, believe them.
yeah.
the
Always believe
likelihood that,
first. Yeah.
yeah, that they are not telling the truth is so minuscule. It is
Yeah.
unbelievable. And yeah, and the statistics back that up. So,
Absolutely. Agreed.
ah,
Yeah. Yeah. No.
yeah.
One thing you get out of this, always believe.
Hmm.
So always believe the victim, until it's actually proven not true. But that's
Hmm.
what you do. You believe the victim, you find out everything. Like I will say, like, so when, like, everything, I think, with, like, the Me Too movement and stuff like that was coming out, we're finding out about a lot of these people and everything like that, which was great. um I don't think everybody's been necessarily held to account for the things
N
they've done and stuff like that,
no. How
but
about we release the Epstein files?
right, absolutely.
Unredacted,
um
please and thank you.
Absolutely, 100%. But, like, I remember there was, and I'm forgetting his name, but he was a very well known, very popular geek host. He used to host that Walking Dead after show.
Chris Hardwick.
Chris Hardwick, yeah.
Hmm.
So he was accused by his um, ex girlfriend of being abusive to her. And then, and everybody 100% believed. AMC, took them off their stuff and everything, and um, pending investigations and all that. And um, multiple women, including his current wife and multiple ex-girlfriends, all came out and was like, we've never had a problem with him ever.
Hmm.
He's never been that kind of guy. Now, again, that doesn't mean he couldn't have been with one girl and everything like that, but she never once produced a stick of evidence. And so, yes, that happened in this case, but that's fucking rare.
Yeah.
And so that's what you have to, really pay attention to is, yes, sometimes there's one in a million women who are being shitty like that, but more often than not, it's actually true. So,
Hmm.
and I would rather believe the woman first, make that investigation, and, you know, then find out later, yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't true, and so we should always go off the assumption that the woman is telling the truth to begin with, more than anything. So,
Hmm.
but and that just shows in this movie as well that, like, if they had believed her and had done enough to help protect her and everything like that, she wouldn't have had to go and figure it out on her own.
Right.
um so, and luckily her boyfriend, this Paul guy, was like, did believe her. He kind of, like, there was a
Yeah.
moment where he was kind of shaky there for towards the end, where he was like, you do believe me, right? And he kind
Hmm.
of, like, sighs and he's like, yes, I do.
Hmm.
And then she's like, okay, well, let's try to figure this out. And they actually, like you said, they figure it out. They figure out, one, that it's probably this guy who, like, literally has keys to multiple buildings around the city, and can get in and out of anywhere, and has the ability to control elevators and electricity and all this other stuff. And so it was literally a guy we didn't know the whole
Hmm.
time. And it was, we're not aware of. And I thought that was a really fun way to do it too, because, like, again, with all the red herrings and everything else, that's great, but it's always fun when it's like, when it's not somebody that hasn't popped up in the thing as well, and it still makes sense in that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of times, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, at least with movies, a lot of times it isn't somebody, so I think that's
Right.
really, like, a good thing. um but yeah, it was just, he's a creepy dude, and it was shown earlier in the, like, the I think in the very first scene too, like, it was somebody, he was stalking somebody else in the beginning too. It was a totally
Yeah,
different
yeah,
woman.
that was Elizabeth Solly, who
Oh yeah,
we find out
gotcha.
later
Yeah,
on the radio that, well, she gone now.
yeah. So, yeah, so I think that's it's a it made for an intense movie for sure.
Yeah.
I like that, she goes and she finds out who it is. She goes to the house, finds all his equipment there, and but goes back to her house, and he's messed with a bunch of stuff in there to kind of trap her in there, and with no way of communicating with anybody.
Right.
Um, and it wraps up like it's so funny too because movies of this era have this weird way of just kind of wrapping up. Um, like like there's no come down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I always felt that was such a weird thing. And it's not all movies, but there's a bunch of movies that do this in like the you know 80s and earlier, where just like it gets resolved like this and then it just ends.
Yeah.
So and it's just like I would like a little bit more of like a just like a little bit of a come down after moment just to be like the police arrive and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's just a weird thing that movies did back then.
Yeah, and of course, if you are doing a TV film, you're kind of butting up against certain amount of runtime because we
Yeah.
gotta fill the commercial breaks and things like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I thought I also would have liked to have seen a little bit of rap at the end where
Yeah.
because she breaks the her own patio door and hollers murder like into the street hoping that somebody will hear her because she knows the dude's in the house and
Yeah.
and then she starts to break the other window and well here he comes and there's a struggle and I was like yeah there's murder it's you but at the same time like it was really empowering to watch this film and see Lee solve her own problem. She
Yeah.
didn't need Paul to come to her rescue. Yeah, Paul is a great ally. He, comforts her
Yeah.
when she's afraid. He helps her figure out who the bad guy is. And, they work together as a team. But when it comes down to it, like she is a final girl in the
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
highest of the highest caliber where she takes charge and is like not in my house. And like the fact that she refuses to move. She's like, I've already
Yeah.
changed my number once. I'm not doing it again.
Right.
She just stands her ground even when nobody's taking her seriously. I respect that. That is
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, and I think that's what makes her a great character. I think it's um very feminism forward of this movie in so many ways. Like I said earlier, with
Yeah.
her character being like, she knew what she wanted, she knew what she didn't want, and she wasn't willing to play the games. Like the guy Steve from her new job kept calling her and asking her out and everything. It's like, no, go the fuck away,
Yeah.
And so it's like, so I liked that aspect of it. There was like, and again, like Adrienne Barbeau's character being lesbian. There's so many of these interesting things, like you said, with Paul being supportive and not being like typical macho guy who's got to take
Yeah.
control and everything like that. He followed her lead.
Yeah.
So it was really good with a lot of that. With that kind of really interesting um, female empowerment, feminism forward kind of thinking, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Same.
All right. Yeah, I think as like for a TV movie and everything like that, it was really well done. Like you said, there, with the lesbian thing, and there were moments where she was like very kind of like I wouldn't say scantily dressed, but there was like a lot of low necklines and stuff like that, which again, for 1970s TV, I thought was a little bit, and I may be misremembering how scantily clad women were in the 70s, but
I mean,
but for
I wasn't
television, it seemed odd.
around, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I was
this is
only
not
4
prime
when
time.
this movie came out,
Yeah, this is not
so
primetime TV. Also, there's a scene where, she and Paul are about to go to bed and
mhm.
he takes her shirt off. And I mean, you see her bare back. It's not like,
Yeah,
she's flashing you or anything, but still, I'm kind of surprised that made it onto broadcast TV in 1978.
yeah, yeah. I thought that too. I was like, wow, that's really bold.
Yeah.
Um, so because like don't think they do much of that on TV these days. Like a
No,
full like naked back.
not on broadcast. Uh-uh.
Yeah, so it's a little weird how the broadcast standards have coming ebbed and flowed over the years.
And it's
Um,
interesting because they I feel like, part of my job is I watch a lot of older TV, but in my
yeah,
work on mission log genealogy, specifically looking at Gene Roddenberry stuff, but he wrote tons of TV in the 60s and before he
yeah,
did Star Trek. And something, never seen anything remotely like that, except for maybe one scene of an unsold TV pilot where there were women bathing in a river, but you don't see anything. You just see their bare shoulders. So,
right.
that's about as close to that as I've ever gotten in anything I've ever
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
for that podcast. So, and Gene Roddenberry was a little bit of a hound dog. Let's not be coy about this. So, if he could have gotten that in there, sure, why not?
Yeah,
um,
yeah, exactly.
so yeah,
Yeah. I I don't know that I have anything else to say about it. It was an enjoyable movie.
yeah.
Um, there very early Carpenter kind of some more seeds of what grows into his style and
Hmm.
everything laid through here, which is really cool. I That's what I like about seeing these because he starts to fire on all cylinders after this. I mean,
Absolutely.
from Halloween to They Live, it's a
Hmm.
10-year to me a 10-year unbroken stretch of gold.
I agree.
So,
That's
you know,
my definitely my favorite era of Carpenter as well. I
yeah.
do also really love In the Mouth of Madness. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, which I believe was like 91, 92.
I think it's 93 actually.
Oh, okay, excuse
But
me.
I mean,
Get my
I
dates
could be
wrong.
wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong, but
All good,
yeah,
all
I think
good.
it was yeah. But yeah, yeah, I agree. I think
95, we're both wrong. Hysterical. And Christine was
even better.
89. Christine was 89, and then he doesn't direct
No,
another
no, no,
film
no.
until
Christine was way earlier than 89.
oh,
Christine was
wait a minute. Hold on. That's discography. I'm sorry.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm about to get my butt corrected here real quick. Hold please.
In the
Nope.
Mouth of Madness was 1994.
Yes, I'm so
So,
sorry. I was looking at discography, not
and Christine was
filmography.
83. Yeah.
Yes, Christine was 83. The soundtrack for Christine was released in 1989. Pardon
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
French. But In the Mouth of Madness was 94. We were both still wrong.
Right. Well, and I would say realistically, if it weren't for the hiccup of Memoirs of an Invisible Man, he would have probably had an unbroken streak
Hmm.
in there. But that one kind of a little weird bump in the road.
I've only
Um,
seen that one once. I'd like to give it another shot. Just
I've seen it once. I
hmm
own it, but I
hmm
haven't seen it since I've owned it. And
mm.
I'm not actually covering it for the podcast,
I got you.
just because it's like one of the like I think it's the only film he's made that he basically disowns.
I
Um,
got you. Okay, fair,
he
fair.
did not have fun making that movie. So
I
yeah,
hear Chevy Chase is kind of notoriously difficult to work with. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, if you haven't seen it, there's a Chevy Chase documentary on CNN. I think it's on HBO Max.
oh
Um,
no.
but it's kind of goes through his whole story and everything like that, and does not sugarcoat how much of an a-hole he was to pretty much
Yeah,
everybody. So
yeah,
um,
man.
you know, but yeah, but yeah, this was a lot of fun, and thank you for coming on. Was there anything that we didn't mention that you did want to talk about
Um,
before we take off?
Not there is one thing I want to check real quick. We did make a point at the top of the show to note that John Carpenter did not do the score for this film.
Yeah.
The score was done by Harry Suckman, who the next year would do the score for the Salem's Lot
Hmm.
adaptation.
Okay.
But there were some cues in here that sounded really familiar, and I couldn't quite place them. I know there's like one classical piece that's used.
Hmm.
I was trying to see if I could find some info on like soundtrack or names of the songs. I'm reasonably certain there was like a classical piece used at one point that I know I recognized, but I couldn't tell you um, what it was.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but there are some other musical cues in here that sounded a bit like Psycho to me, or
Hmm.
Reanimator, which also sounds kind of similar. Um,
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait a minute, is that the same guy? Or even the guy who did Friday the 13th, the original, which also
Oh,
sounds like psycho-ish,
yeah,
and that's on purpose.
yeah.
But no, not at all the same guy. It's just this fellow, he did a lot of film and television scores, but
Hmm.
wasn't any of those. But there was something about it that kind of had that like racing strings, like is in
Yeah,
those
I
films.
didn't
But
catch that. Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely an interesting score. I did like the score, even if it wasn't
yeah,
John Carpenter. And
yeah. It wasn't a bad score.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for coming on and
Oh my
talking about
gosh.
this movie with me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for the invite,
Yeah,
Robert. As always, I
definitely.
love coming on your show because you are one of those wonderful ally non-toxic men. So
Thank you.
thank you for being cool like Paul in Someone's Watching Me.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I love having you on. It's always a good time.
Always good to talk with you,
And
buddy.
yeah, why don't you let people know where they can find you online?
Sure. You can connect with me a few different ways. On social media, I'm on Facebook, Mastodon, and Bluesky at The Nerdy Blogger. Read my words on my blog, newly updated, thenerdyblogger.com. You can also read my words on fangirlish.com, where I write about film and television, mostly Star Trek. Just wrapped my coverage of Starfleet Academy, which just finished its first season. You can also hear me on a few different shows. Mentioned already, I'm the host of We Are Starfleet, which is about Star Trek original series and earlier era, and also in the Discovery era. So we just wrapped our coverage of Starfleet Academy as well. You can also hear me talking Marvel on Podcast 616. It's podcast dash 616. You can also hear me on Mission Log Genealogy, which I already mentioned. It's all about Gene Roddenberry's pre-Star Trek TV writing. So my co-host Earl Green and I kind of look at the morals, meanings, and messages that Gene put into Star Trek. We are trying to find out, did they show up in his earliest work? And a lot of times the answer is yes. You can also hear me talking film on the Video Store podcast. It's myself and three other hosts. We rotate in a round robin fashion, offering movie recommendations, kind of like what you get at a video store. Check us out at videostorepodcast.com. And if you want me to be your DJ, hit me up at djlivelongandparty.com. I do travel. And
All
I'm done
right.
now. Thank you so much, Robert, for putting up with my obscenely long resume things that I do.
Oh man, yeah. No, you've got a lot going on. So
Yeah, full plate. I'm tired very often.
I do not doubt it.
Yeah.
That's too funny. All right. Well, again, thank you again for coming on, and we'll get you on again sometime in the future.
Mhm.
And until then, stay creepy. Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is produced and hosted by Robert Clark. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. You can follow the podcast by going to creepyandgeeky.com and clicking on any of the social links. If you'd like to follow me, you can find my links at geekthulu.com. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on TeePublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.